Hour number 2 of Live and Local. Good to have you with us for a Thursday, March 10th. Good to have you with us. And when he walked through the door, I knew there was something different about him. Our next guest is John Kovacs, a Republican candidate for Congress in District 3. And when he walked through the door, I said, man, you look a lot lighter. And he said, yeah, about $300 lighter, because you have filed with the Secretary of State's office.
That is correct. Hello, thank you for having me again. Yes, today it was the culmination and the commencing, the culmination of many, many months of preparing to run for this office of Congress in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District, and finally having the opportunity today to make it official. So I'm officially a candidate for Congress in Nevada as a Republican in Nevada's 3rd Congressional District. So that's a culminating point there, culminating milestone, and it's a commencement because we're in the last we're rounding home stretch to the primary and then the general election thereafter. So it's going to be we have a lot of work to do, short period of time. We still got a lot of ground to cover.
Was there any thought, or has there over the course of the last few months been any time when you said, well, it's a big investment and I'm away from home a lot and blah, 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 that maybe you said, maybe I'll just bag it and I'll wait for another race?
I'll tell you what, there's not going to be there's no other race. This is it. And I'll be honest with you, because I wasn't in this for the politics reason of it. And every time I turned on, I'll be honest with you, to the contrary. Every time I turned on the radio, every time I turned on the TV, every time I saw what was going on, and I saw, and I'm like, thank God I'm in this race. Thank God I'm able to do something. Thank God, hopefully I'll have the opportunity to turn things around. So, to the contrary, throughout the process, there's never been any regret on my part for the steps that I took to run for this office. I'm actually happy that it couldn't happen at a better time, because the place is falling apart, and at least I'm capable. I'm at the peak of my game, height of my career, and if anybody could do something to help out the country, I certainly can.
And if ever there was a time that new leadership is warranted, it is now. Consumer prices today spiked at a new 40-year high, 7.9% from last February, and that doesn't count food or energy costs. It's getting worse. It's not getting better.
No, and I've been saying this too, and I've done we've done on my YouTube channel, I've done videos talking to us, speaking relative to the energy and the inflation and all that. And we've even spoken to how pertinent energy is to inflation and prices and food and the food products and all that, transportation costs. And also another thing, and of course, Russia, a lot of sanctions with Russia and Ukraine. Russia, and something nobody ever knew, myself included, Russia is responsible for the majority of the fertilizer sold around the world. So you're boycotting that, and you got farmers saying, hey, what I used to pay $200 a bag for fertilizer or whatever, $800. It's went up 4 times. And where do you think that cost goes to in the food prices? So don't look for an end in the inflation regarding food and consumer goods anytime soon, because this only makes it worse. And, quite frankly, what the hell is Russia doing, making fertilizer? I thought we were the breadbasket of the world, right? All that stuff should have always been made here. So for that to kind of somehow also get farmed out halfway around the world, quite frankly, is questionable. How the hell that happened? So those are reasons that we have an administration that wants to really, really push all of the American products, all the American manufacturing, and not just manufacturing in the hard goods like the washers and the dryers and the cars, but stuff that you don't even think about on a daily basis. The fertilizer, for crying out loud. And then you're going to sanction Russia. Well, they make your fertilizer that you grow your food with. And so here we are.
Let me just ask you, because in the last few days, President Biden has made a point of pointing at Vladimir Putin and essentially blaming the energy crisis, inflation, blame it all on Putin, and that Putin becomes kind of the beat up doll that you just pummel. Is that true? And is he doing this wrong?
I'll be honest with you. I almost thought they were going to go after Trump for all that. But so it is. It kind of took me by surprise. It's not Trump anymore. It's Putin. So I saw that, and it did take me by surprise because I think he feels that that the country at large is not really paying attention to what's going on. And that he could kind of pull the wool over eyes at least one more time with this, because even Jen Psaki, she's going on saying the same thing relative to the when it was brought up Keystone Pipeline. Well, she's talking about we have the supply that we need. That's the mode of transportation. So there's a lot going on there that. Again, it turns your stomach because it really is something that what he's saying. It's the exact opposite.
I want to ask you, the president has made absolutely clear that there's not going to be a no-fly zone, even though Zelensky keeps begging and us and the UK and the EU and NATO. He's asking for a no-fly zone. Should we give him a no-fly zone?
Great question. And you got to keep in mind, I like to do see things strategically a lot. That's a double-edged sword. And even we've kind of wavered on a little bit with the State Department initially saying yes, the administration then coming back and saying no. I think there's a distinct apprehension about widening the scope of this to getting NATO involved. What's going on in the Ukraine, by everybody's account, is not exactly according to the playbook that the Russians wanted it to be. They probably thought this thing was be over in a week, and here they are going into a month, and it's they're not exactly they don't look good, and they're getting killed financially because of it across the world, everything else. So the no-fly zone, I think I think as a country. From NATO, I think they don't want to really get NATO involved, but here's the other side of that too. So we're marginalizing ourselves. We're sitting on the sidelines and watching one country essentially get eviscerated by another country, and you're not really lifting a finger to help that country. And what's worse is I'm not sure we're doing enough on the diplomatic front either. We're walking out of why are you walking on negotiation tables? I mean, it's already war. It's almost as bad as it can get. The only thing worse would be a widening of it, and then of course there could be some nuclear type of fallout as a result of that. Nobody wants that. You definitely need to be talking, regardless of how you feel with the party, with that particular party. So no, it's a double-edged sword. I would have to, if you ask me, okay, John, what side do you kind of fall on with respect to that? For now, the no-fly zone, I'm okay with the no-fly zone not being put in place, only on account of the fact that you really don't know and again, I know as much as you do watching the TV. I do not have privy information to anything else.
One thing you do have, which I think is very, very important, is you have traveled extensively to that region, to Russia, and other countries in Eastern Europe. Does that give you an advantage to kind of get a feel for those people?
It's funny you mention that, because I was at a town hall meeting last night with the conservatives group of Las Vegas, and that's exactly what I said. I'm like we're making policy a lot, and the people making policy are making about a part of the world they don't know anything about, and about people they don't know anything about. And yes, it does give me insight and advantage, because when I was, and it's funny because they talked about there were conscripts in the Russian army, right? And when I was there, that's exactly what I saw. I mean, and a lot of times when you're there as a civilian, you go places which I do. you're seeing things. You're not being led by the hand. You're not on a field trip, the official government field trip. You're on a survey, so you could see things. And I like to think of myself as very perceptive, very, very astute. So when I'm walking around, I'm seeing these kids. I'm like, holy mackerel! I see these kids, and they're just that. They're kids. They're not 30. They're not 40. They're in their 20s. They're very young, and I'm like, wow, I bet you, and a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of times what you hear or what you see going on your in your TV set, they're taking advantage of they're telling you, taking advantage of the fact that you have no idea what's going on the other side of the country. And you're talking about things I'm extremely passionate about. And sometimes I'm even talking to you, like I have a hard time containing myself, so I apologize. But no, it's that is very true. You see the people in Congress, and that was the point I'm making. I'm like, we're running. I'm in a race, and you have people running in Congress and never been there. You have people complain. Yeah, when I was contemplating how come I didn't do well in the last race, I was doing it on a beach in California. Okay, but that doesn't give you a world outlook. I'm going to make you laugh. They did an interview, Vice President Kamala Harris, a couple months ago, because she was the border czar, right? And they say to her, hey, Kamala, you've never been to the border, have you? And you know what she said? Hey, that's right, and I've never been to Europe either. And guess who's the point person in Europe? She is. What does she know about any of that? Nothing. And that's the situation pretty much across the board that we have right now. And that's why we're failing with respect to what's going on. And I don't want to be a Monday morning quarterback on this, but a lot of people are, and they're saying, you know what, if we would have just done things a little bit differently, they wouldn't be there right now.
John Kovacs joining us, Republican candidate for Congress in CD3. He is, as you can tell, extremely passionate. Stay where you are. More to do as we continue on AM 670 KMZQ. John Kovacs joining us, Republican candidate for Congress in Congressional District 3. And regardless of where you live, whether you are a resident of District 3 or not, the fact is that all of us are paying a higher price for a gallon of gasoline. It's been going up roughly 10 cents a day, and it's going to continue to go up. Now, a lot of people have said, well, let's bring back the Keystone XL pipeline. Let's get the folks in Texas and elsewhere drilling for more oil, be drilling for more shale. But I'm not sure that there is a quick fix. Let's find out what John Kovacs thinks. Is there a quick fix to this thing?
Well, I always come prepared and and just, again, I happen to be reading up on that topic, and all of a sudden here I'm being asked about it. So, here's the unfortunate part. What I said, I told you months ago, hey, John, why are you running? I said, they killed the Keystone XL pipeline. That was a metaphor. Metaphorically, yes, that is why I'm running. However, metaphorically, they did more than that. They stopped new permits, new wells, people in the middle of drilling, of putting the wells together. They stopped that. The shale thing, they stopped that. So that was kind of metaphorically for all of what they did. And to answer your question in the short answer, and then I'm going to expand, no, there's no magic wand. You can't just turn the button back on, and here's the reason why. A lot of these companies are on the exchange, and they have board of directors, CEOs, and stockholders. And when they say, "Hey, we're not doing this, or we're not doing this, and this is the dividend that we're giving," that's it. The fuel prices come out, and their work, everything they do is worked on it's commodity. So you're talking about, and it gets way more complicated because you talk about futures and things like that. And they do what they do based on the price at that time. So they're locked in to say, "Hey, we're shut down. We're not doing anything." They can't just say, "Oh, we're going to go back to work," and because all the North Dakota, for instance, all those people are gone, and you got to bring the people back. You can't even find anybody to work as it is, so you got to bring people back who are really there from multiple states away. Now you got to bring them all back, and then you got to re-drill, you got to essentially retool. You're months from doing that. You'd have to make a firm commitment today to, hey, let's get back into doing that oil thing. And maybe in 4 or 5 months, you might get, the engine of that would start to turn. But so to answer your question, no, that's the reason why. You have the stock market involved, and you have stockholders involved. You have the logistics of getting the people involved. And then the other thing that you have there's a shortage of the parts that they need to actually get a lot of these rigs up and running, whether it's fracking or whatever. There's a shortage of parts. Another thing that I found troubling. So, and that's something that they did not have in 2014 and things like that when the production was like 100,000 barrels or whatever is coming out of there. So, yeah, no, they're not an easy fix. They would have to actually, and here's the problem: the administration does not want to make that commitment. They would have to make a firm commitment today to actually, yes, we have to do this. And you know what? Why not? They really ought to, because what we're seeing in Ukraine, not going away. It's going to still be here for 4 months. The sanctions, by all accounts, we're in Vegas. You could gamble on it if you want. They're not going away either. They're going to be with the Russians for the next year or more. It's a it's a big mess that the entire world is in now. But we're in a bigger mess, all because of a couple steps that didn't get taken when they should have gotten taken.
And I want to ask you, because just a couple of days ago, the president went before the American people and said, we're trying to make Vladimir Putin suffer, but the American people are going to have to suffer some too. Is that the right message? I mean, this idea that we're going to, after we've gone through Biden inflation, now we're going to go through Biden energy spikes. I mean, is that the way to present it to the American people? And do you think the American people will stand by for this?
No, and again, he's trying to put it off. Oh, it's not my fault. It's some other guy's fault halfway around the world, not me. No, it is you. It is you. It is you from the day you took office. Had you not done anything, when just say, you know what, I'm going to continue to mess up the country the way I'm going to do, but I'm going to leave all the energy stuff alone. No, we wouldn't even be having the conversations we have. You'd not have oil spikes to the degree that you do. You would not have fuel and food and inflation spikes to the degree that you do. Yeah, you might have some of it, but not nearly to the degree that you do. So for him to do it, it's disingenuous at best. And, we talked about being passionate. I'm going to refrain from being passionate, but I'm telling you, it really makes you want to just scream foul at what's being perpetrated or being against the American public. And you have the media all in on it, saying, oh yeah, people would love to, they're okay with higher gas. Are they really? They can't even afford it.
Final 2 minutes. Got to ask you, the president is banning the sale of Russian oil and gas. That means 672,000 barrels per day that will not be coming to America. Did he do that right? And is it going to have any impact at all on Putin?
Great question. I'm going to give you a 2-minute answer. No, because the Chinese are going to step in and make up the difference, because they need oil as well, and they were looking to get it from Venezuela. Now they don't have to. Russia's in their backyard, and we should have driven the wedge between China and Russia. We didn't do that. We've driven the wedge between Russia and the rest of the crew. So we think they're going to go to, of course, the Chinese, and that in and of itself is horribly wrong, and I think moving forward that I think we're going to be we're really going to be wishing that we had taken different steps.
Final 30 seconds. If folks want to reach out to you, if they want to help you, if they want to donate, if they want to walk neighborhoods for you, how do they do it?
They could contact my website, kovacsforcongress.com. Contact us there. Again, we have a great Facebook page, John Kovacs for Congress. Become a follower and learn how you could follow the campaign, learn how to help there. And of course, we have a YouTube channel. We talk about all the issues that I'm talking about here. We go in depth over there. 77 videos. We hope to have 100 by May, and that's John Kovacs for Congress on the YouTube channel.
You be safe out there.
Thank you very much.
And don't you ever lose that passion.
I got to tone it down a little bit.
Just a little bit. That's John Kovacs joining us. Stay with us. More to do as we continue on AM 670 KMZQ.